Today's episode of the Command Center podcast, we have a free agency preview with tons of fan questions. Most definitely. We say goodbye to John Allen and we welcome back the captain, Bobby Wagner. And then we talk about all the different ways we can improve this team. The draft, free agency, it all starts right now. Welcome to the Command Center podcast. I'm Logan Paulson here with Fred Smoot and Santana Moss. And just as a reminder, we're presented by Cognier Technologies, Secure Today, Shape Tomorrow. And as always, we just appreciate doing this show for you guys. And Fred, you have some very interesting news. You've got a couple Commanders camps.
Yes.
You're going to be hosting, supporting.
Hosting at Northwest Stadiums for the kids of the DMV. And if you're outside of the DMV, feel free to come to the DMV also. You know, the Commander culture has changed. So we add to the culture by throwing these Commanders camps. It should be fun. You should learn a lot.
It's at Northwest Stadium.
It's at Northwest Stadium.
That's got to be really cool.
Yeah, so if you ever wanted to run and play on the NFL field, here's your chance right here.
Yeah, this would be pretty awesome. And it's flag football? Or
no, it's a true football camp. So we'll go through drills, we'll do a lot of teaching, and we'll probably have like a little small scrimmage at the end, but nothing too serious.
Crazy. Yeah. That sounds like a ton of fun. So yeah, make sure you sign up. The description for that camp, if you want to learn more about that, will be in the description of this video. Yeah. So make sure you check that out. And without further ado, free agency is starting. We're recording this on Monday. Officially, like the deadline starts on Wednesday, but obviously there's a ton of like preliminary.
Everything just changes. Every 5 minutes something happens.
Ton of preliminary reports happening. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're kind of review the information that we have, or that's kind of allegedly happening. Like kind of the reports are indicating that we've got them going on. And so we're going to say so far so good. Like where do we stand in relationship to the rest of the league and where we stood last year. So first things first. We released John Allen, and obviously we're really bummed to see John go because, again, he's been a big part of this community for a long time and a great football player. So, obviously, that's kind of tough. But I do think releasing him opens up an opportunity and makes that Deebo Samuel trade.
More money.
Yeah, the reported Deebo Samuel trade a little bit more appetizing. Yeah. How do you guys feel about both of those moves? Because I feel like they're kind of married together in a weird way.
Well, thanks for your time. You know, it happens. Anytime you get a new coaching staff and new front office in here, you're going to lose some of the people from the past. So I think it was one of those things. And then when you get Newton in here, I think they want to let Newton develop himself. And then you also still have Payne. So it ain't like you really that room. You know what I'm saying? If you could stand to lose anybody in a room, it was that room.
No doubt.
And again, he's older. He's a little bit more expensive. And I think I've talked to a couple fans about this. Like everybody reaches this point, and we've I played for 10 years, and I never got a big contract. But you always see guys who are getting paid more than what their play is. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means he's getting paid more than he was due. And I think
more than the production.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And especially coming off the injury, feels like the right thing. But Tana, I do think this, again, as reported by Adam Schefter, that this gives that opportunity to bring Deebo in because Deebo comes in for 17. Yeah. John's cap hit was 15 and a half or 16 and a half. So
your cap never changes.
Yeah, it seems like a nice
just freed up 15, 16 million, and you're getting a guy in for around about that same amount of money. And then when it comes down to just the move itself, you know what I mean? I feel like time well spent. I think you hats off to John Allen for what he did here. You know what I mean? Through three different teams, I guess you could say. Redskins, Washington football team, and Commanders.
Him and Terry are the only two guys.
So, I mean, time well spent, man. He was a guy. He was a guy that I'm not sure if Smoot went over there and watched him play, but when he was in high school at Stonebridge, I went over there and watched him play, and they was talking about him being a pro then. So I'm glad he got a chance to come back here and be a part of the team that meant so much to him. And when you look at him play, man, I think he still has some more trail in his tires. So whoever go out there and pick him up, man, they're getting a guy that's probably going to be eager to go out there and prove a point.
Well, the thing also about it is class act by Adam Peters to give him a chance to seek a trade.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's a class act right there. They're showing you that we're gonna do things the right way here. Yeah. And when that couldn't happen, then they released him. So that was the second choice.
I think too, speaking on that, it goes to show you, man, the direction we're moving and with this organization. When you can afford to get rid of guys like that, I remember at the time just saying your name and having a name or saying that you played well, you stayed around here. Yeah. You know, we didn't go out and seek better talent because we had this guy. Yeah. And that guy, his name said that he was still great. Yeah. Regardless of how old he was, how long in the tooth he was. So now looking at the things that they've done from day one, from some of the other guys that's been gone, like normally around here, those guys would have still been on the team. We'd have been bringing in other guys that probably wasn't capable, because we had those guys and they was taking up a space. So I'm loving to see that we can afford to get rid of guys like Jonathan Allen. I think, that's the best way you can put it in context and in words. When you can afford a guy to get rid of a John Allen, that means you have guys on the roster that's capable of filling that void, or you're going out and getting somebody that's going to be able to fill that void.
Ten, I think that's a fantastic take, because it does show a huge shift. Because I just remember, back even when I was growing up, like in high school, college, watching the then Redskins, anybody with a big name was coming here. Was going to stay here for a long time. And so I do think Adam Peters, like Freddie mentioned, how classy he's been in terms of how he handled the situation. Understanding that you need to, despite what this guy has done for you, you can't rely on that. You still need to get better.
I got to move forward. I got to move forward, and that's what this front office has been about, moving forward. I cannot drive a car looking through the rearview mirror. I have to look through the windshield to get to where I'm trying to go.
So obviously, again, Bum John's out of here, but I do think it reflects to Tana's point, and really a great point, a larger
new culture.
Culture, new perspective on how to build a team, and I think that's awesome.
Well, we have to build a team. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're building a team to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Just be honest. The gold standard.
100%.
Right,
so obviously, we've talked about the Debo trade. I think we talked about that a long time in the last podcast. Obviously. According to reports, he'll be here, and I think that'll be a great addition. The competitiveness, the toughness. You talked about building a culture. I feel like he's a nice piece for that.
Very good culture
and
piece.
How he raises the floor of the offense, I think, is something we're all excited about too.
Yeah. Also, with Coach Quinn saying, "I want my guys to be fast and physical." Debo is just he is the epitome at wide receiver of physicality. So and motivation. I always tell people. I've been around a lot of pros, but we are motivated by different things. All right? And one thing that motivates us is when we get cut. If you I'm cut, traded, whatever you want. When the reset button is pushed, I think it just gives us a refresh. Okay, let me get back grounded. Let me get back focused. So not only are we getting Debo, but I think we're getting a focused, hungry Debo.
Also, you got to understand, regardless if it's something that you can say that you wanted to happen or didn't, when that guy gets somewhere new, anybody, because I remember coming over here, I was loving the fact that I got a chance to get out of New York at the time I did.
Right.
When I got here, it was like, look, I ain't doing none of that riff-raff stuff. I remember people wanting me to come show here. No, bro. I got to prove to these guys out the gate who I am. So you get a guy that's coming in focused. Major. I mean, that's the major thing that I look at from players, where they mindset at. You know what I mean? So you get a guy that's focused. I hate the fact when I was watching this whole offseason, when you had IU sitting around not playing, all these other guys. I was skeptical about them coming in when they did sign, because you didn't really get a chance to do what you was doing
to get your body right.
And I love the fact that it didn't affect Jamar Chase. It was crazy. I'm like, so what was he doing? When the cameras weren't on, he had to be doing something, because you saw a difference in his play than the other guy. So when you get a guy like Debo, whether you're coming over here because you wanted to or because you was traded, man, he's gonna scrap everything he did in those other years, and he's gonna buckle down and try to be the best of himself.
Yeah, and so really, really looking forward to him being here. But I think the other thing about this, and we're going to say this a lot during the show, is right now we have, we had 29 free agents to start this process. And so while Debo Samuel is a big name that is allegedly going to be joining this team here very shortly, probably on Wednesday, they still need to build out the scaffolding of this thing.
So you got to fill out this roster.
So like I said, it is Monday, and we've already signed back both tight ends, which I'm really excited about. John Bates, according to reports, is back for a 3-year extension. Zach Ertz, according to reports, is back for a 1-year extension. I mean, for given what their impact was on the offense, I think this is a good first step to kind of laying that foundation. I think both of them are, to your point, Fred, cultural pieces that are really nice additions, and I think that they are also they're just good football players. I think you look at John specifically, he's a young guy, and that's why he gets a 3-year deal, someone that you can kind of build around. And so during this free agent process, I think there's two things. One, you want to get more talented, and one, you want to find cornerstones, people that are cultural pieces that you can build around moving forward.
And especially guys that ain't going to crash the bank. John Bates is one of them pieces that you don't really see his what he brings to the table in the numbers. Yeah. But if I'm a running back, he reflects my numbers.
Or an alignment.
Like he reflects everything that you do. Yeah. So most definitely, I thought it was very important to bring him back. And Zach Ertz, my God, you're talking about a rebirth of a career, and it just shows you how important a tight end is to a young quarterback. I'm sorry, man. It's paramount. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you didn't bring Zach Ertz back, you were going to have to upgrade that room. You're going to have to bring somebody just as good in. Yeah. And I don't know if it was somebody just as good on the free agent.
I mean, I was going to ask you, like, is there a better pass-catching option that does what he does in free agency or in the draft? And I don't know if I could say definitively yes. There are some very talented pieces.
I'm going to say they would say Loveland, a couple of these guys.
Loveland's very skilled, but I think he's a top 20 pick. So like he's not going to be there when you're picking.
But you also look at it like if it's not broke, why fix it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You have a young guy already in here
that they got a relationship.
That we got a relationship with, and then you have an older guy that man. All I got to do is give him another year because he showed me last year that giving him that 1 year, gave him a breath of fresh air, and he was able to go out there. I mean, down that stretch, who was a better pass catcher than Ertz?
How many games did he win?
I think at one point it was 24 attempts, and he hadn't one drop. You know, so I mean, and then when you talk about John Bates, I just feel like you know how they have that saying, you know how you have your meals, especially when you're a calorie counter. You know, I'm finna bring it up for guys who, me and you got to speak the same language a little bit when we talking macros and all this stuff. When you're a calorie counter, John Bates to our team is like those hidden calories, like a drink. Like you eating your food. Oh, I got 300 calories in my food, but you drunk a soda.
But you got a soda.
So you got a John Bates where you might not see those numbers.
Yeah.
But he's there.
He's there.
And he's very valuable for you because what you need him to do, whether it's going to be blocking or catching, he might be in disguise to the lineman because they like, oh, they don't throw the ball at him.
Yeah.
And then he leaks out, and then boom, you know what I mean? He moved the chain. So I love the fact that you were able to have that at home. You didn't have to go out and seek it. You had those both of those guys. You had an Ertz who can go out there and show you that he can still be that Ertz he was years ago. Now he might not have that pep in the step like he was when he was younger, but he still has those hands.
Can we agree that he had who you think had the better year, him or Dallas Goedert? Because that's who replaced him in Philly.
Dude, I think Zach. I think Cliff really understands how to use Zach.
Yeah, he does.
And I think I was gonna ask you, Tan. I don't know how much you watched him, but he runs routes, man.
No,
he's special.
I just told you separation.
Nuance.
People get caught up in how fast you are.
Yeah,
I never got caught up in fast. I got caught up in and when I put that foot in the ground, how much room I'm giving myself to catch that ball.
Yeah.
Or how much room I'm giving myself for that quarterback to say I got a target. And that's what you saw from Ertz. Every time he got up there, no matter how fast, how slow he was running, when he gave you that wiggle and boom, it was separation. He always separated. So that's what I see in him. And you watch him walking around, you like, something hurting on him. Yeah. he got that foot. Yeah. He got that walk like you, like he played basketball.
He got that peg leg. Listen, the one thing I can always tell is an old football player. Like, listen, when Doug walks in, old football player.
You see Doug walking in? I said, yeah, boy, Doug walking in like a quarterback that stood in that pocket for a long time.
When you got that Jedi glide, hey, listen, I know you had a full career. All right, Logan, you got that kind of walk too now.
I know. I don't love that is happening for me. You got to do something about that.
You got that pep in you. You got that little giddy up in your step.
You can tell that right knee is still.
They ain't get enough lube this morning.
Yeah. So, because we're talking about tight ends, I think it's important to talk about the other guy that's here, which is Ben Sinnott. We got a fan question about it.
Yeah.
So, from Bradford, is Ben Sinnott more of a replacement for Bates or Ertz? And because I played tight end, because I watched him a lot, I'll take the first swing at this, right? And so for me, he's not really a replacement for either. I know that sounds...
He's a hybrid of both.
It sounds crazy. Yeah. So to me, he's like the classic, Kyle Juszczyk in San Francisco. He can play off the ball. He can do some move stuff. He can play in line, but because of his lack of length, Bates has 33-inch arms. He's a big guy, almost 34-inch arms. Really good length, can compete with defensive linemen. Sinnott's not going to do that at a super high level. You don't want him to do that and say, so then you look at his explosive numbers, and his explosive numbers are crazy. His force plate numbers are 97 percentile. Yeah. His vertical is 97 percentile. He's an explosive dude.
He's a weapon.
Yeah. The problem with that is that he doesn't run routes the way Zach runs. We just talked about how he's got that kind of old man YMCA.
Yeah.
He's going to try and beat you with horsepower.
Yeah.
So when you watch him at Kansas State, He's running verticals.
All
he's running
gas,
corners,
no brakes.
And there's the nuance, the separation, the tools aren't there. So they're just different players.
Yeah.
So,
but can he get that? I think he can develop that, especially learning from a guy like Ertz. Like Ertz, how are you consistently getting open on this 10-yard in route? Like, and Ertz gonna let him know, man, I'm dipping that shoulder. I'm playing basketball.
Yeah.
Like that's what Ertz does better than any tight end in the league. He will post you up.
And so I think that's a great point, Fred, because if he could learn some of that nuance, I think Ben would probably be more likely to take the Zach Ertz role.
Yes.
But I think people say, he's the pass catching tight end, Zach's a pass catching tight end. And I will tell you right now, they're not the same.
They're not.
Zach is he's like it's a master class of the stuff Fred just talked about. The lean, the bend, the stick, the stems, breaking leverage, understanding coverage.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be hard-pressed to find someone better doing it. So Ben needs to learn some of that stuff to fill that role of catching 70 balls in a year.
Yeah. So that's telling me, can he get good at the normal? Can he get good at the everyday routes? Because he's one of those guys where because he's somewhat of a weapon, you design plays for him. Can you get open and just inside of a regular play that I don't design for you? Can he get used to that? I think if he can get used to that,
like kind of in a basic full field read type deal.
And now first read, second read, you happen to be my third read, but you're getting open.
I think that's the reason why you bring a Zach Ertz around, for a second year too, because now you have that. I guess you can say that tutor or that mentor
that
right
teacher,
there in his room that he can study from. Ben out physical kid. He out physical kids in college. He went out there and basically just toyed around because he had the ability to outrun half of those guys at that size, and he was bigger than half of those guys at that size. Now you in the big man's world where every guy, even the guy off the bench, can run with you, can out physical you, can beat you up, so to say. And then you say, okay, what you need to add to your game, because now you can compete with these guys. You're big enough, you're fast enough. But what you need to add, and then that's Zach Ertz. And that's why he's here. So you sit there and you watch him enough. It's going to come on. It's going to trickle down to him.
I see it all the time where athletes start to mimic athletes. Like watching Jordan Love play quarterback, he looks exactly like Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
How he holds the ball, the way he throws the ball, and you pick up habits from the guys you play with.
So I think when it comes to answering that question, yes, he's not Ertz.
Either.
He's not either Ertz or Bates. But he can honestly be something that none of those guys can be. You know what I mean? Because I think when you developing guys, that's what you get a guy like Ben Sinnott from. You get a guy that, man, look, this guy here, the potential he has.
Once he get it,
when we done with him, what he can be so explosive. We can use him like a Tony Gonzalez. I mean, to me, I think he has that ability. You know?
And I think that's the thing is like when you look at all the numbers, he's like wicked explosive. He's crazy explosive. So it's there. And when you watch him in the run game, he's got good snap. He's got good pop, especially on the second level stuff. Like
I would say, blocking is want to, and he want to.
And so, but the thing is, it's like you gotta grow. You gotta learn. And so, like I think about my rookie year, and I couldn't block, Chris Wilson, who was like the third string special teams edge rusher. I couldn't do it. But you learn. You talk to Chris Cooley. You talk to Fred. You talk to some of the old linemen. You're like, oh, this is my technique, and hopefully you see that level of progression. It just. He's got a little ways to go, I think, and I'm trying to get that across. Like, I think he can do it.
I would say I think he can get there. The question is how fast. How fast do you develop, and how fast do you get to where the game slows down to you?
And how fast does it turns on in your head that I can't be too far behind these guys? It's about time for me to start taking over. See what I'm saying? Because young guys get in here. Some young guys get in here and say, I'm comfortable.
I just want to be a part of it.
I got Ertz in front of me.
Great point,
I got this other guy in front of me. I got Bates in front of me. I'm comfortable. Or you can say, I don't like these guys being in front of me. They brought me in here for a reason. And now what you do is by him upping everybody, he's going to up his level of play. And he's going to up all these guys because now the whole room is going to sit up there and say, well, damn, this young guy behind us, he in my back pocket. I got to get him out of my back pocket.
In a perfect world, at the end of next year, he should be the starting tight end.
In a perfect world.
He should be the starting tight end by the end of the year, and Zach should be the extra piece.
I just love the fact that we got all three of them. I love the fact that we got all three of them because that only makes our room that much stronger.
And so it'll be interesting to see his, because I think we're all excited about Ben. We want to, but to see his development, because again, we want to see the stuff on the field, the nuance on the field, match the athletic upside. And like
take that old man game out of Zach Ertz's head, put it in yours. Like that's the like I remember when I first got here, that was the first thing Darryl Green told me. He said, "I'm going to take my brain and put it in your youthful body and give you a chance to be a legit player in this league."
I tell this story all the time, but like one of the things that it's different. Like college football is one thing. NFL football is something completely different. You have to be on your technique. You have to be on your assignments. Like I remember, this is a crazy story. So I was with Chris, and he was like, "Logan, why are you always late off the ball?" And I was like, "What are you talking about, Chris? Like I get off when he says set hut, like I'm going." And he walks me to the film room right down here, the old tight end room, and goes, play, pause, play, pause, play, pause. And I'll be damned if I wasn't a full count behind everybody. And so I was like, how'd you even notice that? No one had said anything to me. And he goes, go talk to Rybach and Will Montgomery, the centers at the time. So I walked down there, and he's like, I'm actually snapping it on the S of set. So like it's set hut, and he's snapping it on the set. And I was that late. And it's not even a second. It's a tenth of a second, a hundredth of a second.
So you waiting the hut. And they already moving.
And so again, that's the level of detail this game requires, and so hopefully these guys all get there. So in addition to the tight ends, which we're all really excited about, we got Zane Gonzalez, according to reports, re-signing. And again, I think that's going to be one piece of a competition. I think that's the best way to do it.
You think Cyber get a chance to win that job back?
I don't know. He seems like he's still kind of nicked up.
He might be still nicked up, but I thought his year was.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. Is like we're not talking about Cyber right now because of the injury. Right. So.
But I just feel like there's competition in there. I don't feel like this the end.
I would hope you bring a guy back like that if he's healthy. You bring a guy back in there because I think he meant so much to our season and to how we started. You know, you'll love to see him.
Like that Giants game. What is it? 6-7.
He won the game.
7 field goals.
Yeah, he won the game.
That's crazy. But you know, like I don't think I've ever been on a team where we've had like a kicker. There's always been another guy that comes in to compete, right? Like, I'm trying to think. Have you ever?
No. When I first got here, we stole John Hall from when we was the Washington Jet skis.
we stole everybody from the Jets. Listen, I came over here. My locker room looked like the locker room I just played.
I told him. I'm like, we need to start sending some of these Jets back. So we sent them ALC, Lavernius Coles back, and they gave us Tanner. Now we had Big Randy Thomas. We had John Hall. We had Chad Morton.
We
had to send Chad Morton up jet skins.
So, but I guess what I'm saying is like Zane's back, you know, allegedly back. Seibert, you know, like that's a normal NFL. It's not like saying this guy's bad or good. It's just like that's how you do it. Get kickers, they compete, they do their thing, and probably maybe the most exciting potential re-signing, obviously this doesn't become official till Wednesday, is Tressway back on a one-year deal, according to reports.
I know he's fresh because he ain't punting that much last year.
Mr. Wade. The question is, how long can Mr. Wade keep punting? Because I think he still got 2-3 years left.
13,
he's 30.
He's 34.
He's 34.
So that's, what, 13 or 14?
I'd have to look it up.
No. This is year.
He was here with us.
Yeah,
we with us, what I'm saying.
So this is probably year 11 or 12, right?
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
11 or 12. Because I don't think he started as a 20-year-old.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. I would have said 13. What is what I would have said, but I don't know.
I thought last year was 12. 12 or 13.
But I remember he also missed a year because he did a practice squad or tryout competition in Chicago and then came here. So maybe it's only his 11th year. But I think obviously everyone's excited about him. You know, leadership I think is something he brings.
Mr. Wade.
That's kind of funny talking about a punter being a leader, but he is.
No, he's a glue guy. He's a guy like, listen to me. His selflessness, giving that number 5 to Jaden, set the whole year in the right course. Like doing stuff like that, and the way I watched him sit on that sideline and do nothing this year was great.
Just being a pro.
Just being a pro. You asked me to show up. I showed up. My services was not needed. But I'm here. When you do need me.
I'm present.
Mr. Wade, congratulations.
Yeah, and glad that he's back again. Leadership, we get leadership from Zach, leadership from Tress, and then I don't know, maybe the most important leadership element.
Yeah.
And this one is official. Bobby Wagner re-signs on a 1-year deal.
Had to do it.
We could probably gush on this for an hour.
Yeah, I would say had to do it. It was the right move. He is the ultimate leader and the ultimate chess player while you're out there. The things he do, check into defenses. See, that's what the untrained eye don't see, is how he battles with these quarterbacks and check into and putting everybody in the right defense. He's special in that way. Very London Fletcher like.
You don't know how valuable a guy is until you actually get a chance to see him on your squad.
Yeah.
And man, bro, I'm talking about having a quarterback. It was one thing. No, he's the quarterback of the defense. And I mean, bro, I watched this guy sit there at the last minute and just making checks and putting guys in place, man, and you just don't understand somebody's value, man. And Bobby showed it from day one. He showed it since he was over there in Seattle. I remember playing against him his rookie season and didn't even know he was a rookie. You know, that's how valuable he was to that team. And just to see him, years removed from those guys, and I think he had a stint somewhere else. L.A. Playing in L.A., back to Seattle, now here.
Yeah.
Don't like he miss a beat. You know?
No, he don't. He just one of those players. You know what you're gonna get. Yeah. And you can't say that about our NFL players.
And I think I've had a bunch of fans come up to me and like, oh, like, how's he playing? And he's not playing like he was when he was in Seattle.
I'm not expecting him to.
And I think that's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah. But you know what he does do a really good job of is his leadership's off the chart. Yeah. His ability to control. Like, I just remember the Bears game where it's like, They got the empty check on. They shift back to a tight formation. He checks it up. It's short yard. Like, his ability to communicate to all levels of the defense. You see what, from a mental standpoint, what the green dot looks like. Yeah. And you go to the combine and people talk about linebackers and they say, I'm looking for someone who can wear that green dot because there's not a lot of them. And we've got a guy who can get that done at a high level. And again, tackles well. He's consistent. So I think, again, is he the guy that he once was? No, but none of us are.
I'm going to say, I'm not the guy I was 5 years ago.
You ain't the guy you was last week.
But guess what he is? He going to be there. Yeah. He going to be there when you need him. He consistent. He don't miss games. Yeah. He take care of his body. And he's one of those leaders that don't lead with a lot of this.
Yeah.
But he's vocal enough. He does in a way that I think is undervalued. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're around the team, he's the guy that, like, cuts up with you. Like, hey, Fred, what's up, man? Everything good? Like, oh, like, man, your forehead looks crazy. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that brings people together. Yeah. It brings the locker room together in a way that, like, is undervalued. You know
they did a study. They say friends that riff each other
are more like
400% more honest with each other and tighter than each other. So all us plus Lundy, we should be pretty tight.
And just a little fact checking. This will be Tress's 12th season in the NFL. So you were very close, Fred.
Yeah.
All right. So those are all the things that have happened so far. And again, we're recording this on Monday.
Yes, and we know how free agency is.
This show comes out on Tuesday, so there's probably a lot more information. But what we're going to do in the meantime is kind of do a little bit of a preview of free agency with Risk It for the Biscuit. And should we re-sign our free agents? I think that's kind of an interesting question.
Go out and hunt other free agents.
Yes, and this is presented by Marsh McLennan Agency, your partner in risk and people strategies. And so one of the things before we get started, I feel like I have to say this, is we're in a really interesting situation because we're kind of the Commanders. You're kind of you're in a playoff window.
Yep.
Right? You need to get more talented.
Yep.
But in addition to getting more talented, you also need more depth.
Yeah.
Because one of the things about the last regime that was here, there's not a lot of depth on the roster, right? You need to kind of go get really talented pieces and then supplementary pieces and then also supplement with the draft. So it's a very challenging...
What you want to do is raise the floor in every room.
Yeah.
The floor, like, I ain't worried about the ceiling right now. Yeah. I need to raise the floor in every room.
And so I think this leads us nicely to our first fan question. Michael asks, what missing pieces do we need in order to turn those close losses into dominant wins? Sorry, the cord was right in my face.
I'm going the guy that smell like bacon. I want the guys all over 300. Yeah. And I'm talking about both sides, offense and defensively. Yeah. The trench warfare is what wins games. If we didn't learn anything in the Super Bowl, we learned you can have all the athletes behind the big lines. they matter.
Yeah.
Right? Because we seen a team, Kansas City is just as talented as Philadelphia until you get into the trenches. Like the trench warfare was won in that game. Yeah. So I'm all about the guys that smell like bacon. And when I say adding to that room, I want to add starters.
Yeah.
Right? So if that means somebody that started this year has to now go down a level, I just raised the floor in that room.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel like, when you look at great teams are hard to come by. And I think where it starts at is just up front. If I can run the football late in the season or through the whole year, I save my quarterback a whole lot of,
turnovers and everything. Yeah.
Now, because I can always rely on that running back to get us out of harm's way, And then I know we have the quarterback who can throw to anybody and everybody, who can throw you open. You know what I mean? So when you have a guy at the helm that you can trust in, what's the next best thing? Protect him.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why we changed the game. We wanted to protect, Manny. And then he saw Tom and said, I want to protect Tom. I want to keep these guys up because they make our league better.
Yeah.
Our league is better when all these guys are healthy and we playing their teams are playing late into the postseason and we get a chance to watch them come playoff time. So that's what you want for your young Jedi 5. You want to make sure you're protecting him, one by pass blocking, and then the other way by stuffing that ball on whoever he's going to have in that backfield, and us being able to get, move the chains that way. And when you go to the other side of the ball, what was our problem? Stopping the run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it starts up front. So, we have so many skill guys. You talked about Bobby, you talked about our safeties, our corners. All those guys had probably numbers was up when it came to tackles.
Yeah. But you don't want that.
But you don't want that. You want those guys up front to be able to, be stiff enough that those guys don't have to worry about getting into the play. So, I just think, man, it's all about those guys up front. If you get better there, man, you get better as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's going to be tough, though, in free agency is because teams understand that. The league understands that. They don't let a lot of talented free agents go. Talented offensive linemen hit free agency.
But do you think we need one or two in both places, and we'll get that much better?
So I think that this is a great question. This is like the core philosophy of building a team. It's so I think this is an example. Ronnie Stanley already signed, but if you could have signed Ronnie Stanley,
that's a game changer,
and you could have bumped Brandon Coleman to wherever you felt like you
right tackle or guard,
right tackle or guard, whatever you needed to do. That's the kind of move we're talking about.
That's that floor going up.
There's no good, even Walker Little, who's the swing. He was the right tackle in Jacksonville. He re-signed.
Yeah.
Alaric Jackson from LA, who was going to be a left tackle in the market, he re-signed.
Yep.
If the guy's good, teams don't let them leave.
What about bringing back a guy like Brandon Sheriff?
That's an interesting one to me too. Again, this is where and this is a personal perspective. So if they do re-sign or they bring in Sheriff, I'd be ecstatic. But I want guys with a little bit of youth that we can build around. Like we just talked about with Bates. He's a little bit younger. He's a cornerstone piece. Biotish, I think, is a great example of that. Guys where you say they're going to be here for the next 2 or 3 years.
How about we just steal Mekhi Becton?
What do you think about the fit here? That's one thing about Mekhi Becton, which I think is really interesting. Is he good outside of Philadelphia without that excellent offensive line?
No. I'm gonna keep him at guard. I think they found that's like what happens to corners when we lose a step, we move to safety. It happens. Move me a little bit farther back off the ball and allow me to use my mind. I believe he found the home at guard because he ain't in space anymore. He's proved that in the league, I don't have the bend to play tackle, but I don't need that bend at guard. I need to move people. I need to be a role.
I need to be big. I think he's big,
and he's big.
Yeah. So I think those are some interesting names, but again, those are interior players, and so this is something like larger philosophy with offensive line that I think is interesting. Is I think maybe I'm an outlier here. I think it's easier to find guards. It's easier to find guards at centers.
It is.
And so when that tackle becomes available, I'm always you got to find a way to grab it. I had a conversation with someone this offseason about San Francisco's offense and why they struggled so badly. Yeah. And they were like, it's because they lost their playmaking left tackle. And I was like, it can't have been that significant. But when you go watch the film, it makes everybody else worse when Trent's not playing.
Yes.
And so if you can, and it doesn't need to be Trent Williams, but if you could just raise the floor at that position, move Coleman wherever he needs to move. It just gets everything. It raises the whole ship. I just think it's hard to find. The point is, in free agency, that's a tough find. So that becomes a draft thing, which could be at 29. But even then, like, is that best player available?
Could you trust Adam Peters to find another Coleman? Because at the beginning,
talk about that.
Yeah.
What a sneaky find.
Yeah, like that's what I'm telling you. Like,
yeah,
I heard all offseason on the radio and stuff. We don't have an offensive line. I thought the offensive line stood up.
No, they did.
I thought they played well. Yeah. Can we find?
But I think that's the thing. Is like I think we all agree that they did it. Those guys, those 5 dudes.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
They
played, and even Trent Scott in there.
Yes,
Dieter put him in there too. They played their butts off.
Yeah.
They played really well. But I just want to increase the talent. Like you're saying, what's you're saying?
I want to raise the floor.
Improve the room.
Yeah.
And you improve the room, and that's an easy way to do it.
We all saying the same thing.
Yeah. And so I think that's the way we want to look at it. So that's one that I look at. I look at like wide receiver.
Yeah.
I know we obviously Deebo Samuel allegedly will be here. I got to keep saying that.
So you got 3 on the roster right now. There's Terry, there's McCaffrey, and there's Deebo.
On Wednesday. If that trade goes through.
So there you go with 3 of them.
But I do think that, like, Tana, I don't know how you feel about it, but bringing in another young, re-signing Diami, re-signing Noah, one of those guys, depending on the market, I think that's something you look at. Yeah. Corner we talked about. I think
safety maybe.
I think safety's not a bad idea. Getting a little bit younger at linebacker, having someone kind of in the wings, like in addition to McGee.
Yeah, I was going to say McGee.
Yeah, we got Jordan McGee.
Still got McGee.
And then defensive line, I think, is another.
So basically every room.
But I think that's the point. But then, so this is why free agents become so important. Because we had so many free agents, we got to re-sign some of our own guys.
Yeah.
And then we got to find young, talented pieces.
New guys. Yeah.
Because there's no Jamin Davis coming through the pipeline. There's no Phil because those guys couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we got to make good selective decisions here. And I think that's why this free agency period is so incredibly interesting. All right, next question. Thoughts on Jack Sawyer, the edge out of Ohio State. We did this. We ranked all of our defensive linemen on Ticket to the Draft podcast, so make sure you check that on other podcasts. But I think this question kind of points to a larger issue, which is defensive line.
Yeah.
This draft is incredibly talented on the defensive line, but there are some free agent pieces that, again, we can re-sign or we can look at other spots to fill. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, you could re-sign Fowler.
I was going to say, I'm always, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. I'm looking for us to get better. So if we have a guy in the room or in the building already that's not going to cost us a pretty good penny, find a way to bring him back.
Jack Sawyer was the best pass rusher on his own college team.
Yeah, I
felt it was JT.
Yeah. Tumalau?
Tumalau. I thought number 44, was the best pass rusher. So if I'm looking to add a guy, add him in the second round.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and it's so funny when people start talking about picks, right? It's like, okay, well, you go offensive line at 2, in the first round at 29, then in the second round you go defensive line. But we only got 6 picks.
Yeah.
So you got to maximize.
You got to maximize
those
all
picks.
those picks, and you got to understand that when you are picking, because I think it's a big gap in our picking, right?
Yes.
Because I think we got like 3.
So, I mean, if I remember correctly, you're picking at the end of the first, you're picking at the end of the second, you're picking at the beginning, roughly the beginning of the third, then you don't pick again
to like the 6th round, 5th round.
Yeah, I think they traded the 5th.
Yeah.
There's no 4th round pick anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of space in there. And then
but
3
we'll
of
make
those
up for that in free agency. You know,
that's I was going to say, Tana, this is what I was going to bring back to, is because of that spacing, you're not going to be able to get uber talented people. Yeah. So like Tana's point, where it's like, Dante Fowler, like if the price is right, obviously.
Bob Bach.
Or if there's other people out there, there's a bunch of lists of free agents. You need to make sure that you supplement in free agency also. I think that's the thing we're saying. It's like draft, great, but now we got to build our team out.
Yeah.
I heard someone say this the other day, and I think it's exactly right. You want to make sure you're going into the draft not needing the draft.
Yes,
Bingo.
thank you.
Yeah.
You want to go best player available. Yeah. Like, that's what good teams do. Yep. That's what we watch Kansas City do. That's what Philadelphia been doing for the last 3 years. Who is the best player available? Did they fall? I don't care. Run the name tag up and get him. Like, that's what good teams do. They don't go in trying to say, I need this 1 player, 2 players out this draft to be a team. I'm just going at the best player available.
Many years we watched New England Patriots do that.
Yeah.
You know, they just got to steal. I mean, like, did they even need him? But then you find out they just knew that he was valuable enough to come in and add to what they was doing. So
that's a great point. And so again, that's kind of what we're talking about here. I know we're kind of a roundabout way, but you need to fill this all out. Yeah. So all the things we just talked about, your number 2 receiver, depth on the O-line, that needs to happen now.
Yeah.
And then you put the cherry on top.
Yeah.
With a talented young piece.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're talking about. Okay, so next question is about managing the cap from Sean. Do you think the depth at each position will take a hit if we make big free agent moves?
I don't think so.
I mean, how much money I hate these types of questions because it's like, how much money are we talking about?
Well, we're not talking about Josh Allen's $330
That's
million.
what I'm saying. So we have Jaden Daniels on it.
What's that going to do to them over there?
Oh no, they already $5 million under the cap.
That helps them.
That helps them.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Because
you see that number, you immediately think, oh man.
Because the cap appreciates each year, and so but it's a 5-year deal, right?
Yeah.
So you lock him in for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. They gave him like, what is it, $500 million?
400.
Yeah, $500 million or whatever.
Million.
$500 million, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my God, that's going to kill him. But it sets the line so you can plan 4 years out, 5 years out.
Yeah, but he only make like $35 million.
I know, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
But,
and Josh Allen did it. I think he got 240, 270 guaranteed.
He's the second.
So guaranteed is like 20 something. I mean, 2 million something, right?
No, he got 200 guaranteed.
200, 225, right?
Yeah, 225. Yeah.
Can you believe he's the second highest paid quarterback?
He's the second highest?
Behind Dak Prescott, baby.
Yeah, I forgot all about it. Old Dak over there.
Hey, Dak making $60 a year.
Lord have mercy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you need a driver, Dak?
So talk about a team that screwed themselves up. You've got I don't know where you want to put Dak.
He's not with the two guys we just talked about. and I'm a Mississippi State Bulldog. You know how I feel about my Bulldog brother.
Yeah.
But he ain't no Patrick Mahomes, and he ain't no Josh Allen. Like, the worst thing you could ever do as a GM, I've studied it for years, is overpay guys that are not on the level that you pay them. Your team can't bounce back from that.
Preach,
You can't bounce back. Think about this. I said the Cowboys wouldn't succeed because of this. They pay their quarterback as he is the best quarterback in the league. They had Lawrence as one of the highest paid pass rushers. He wasn't even in the top 10 in his position.
And they paid Zeke that one year.
You paid Zeke. Then you paid Diggs as the best corner. Yeah. And he ain't a top 5 corner.
But to say all that, because we've been here before, we talked about that with the other guys. If they had a season leading into that payday that said that they deserved a payday, they only could pay them worth what all the other guys who you're talking about is getting. So at the end of the day, that's where they always find themselves in the situation. You get a player or two that goes out there and have a crazy year, like Diggs. Diggs had a crazy year. Diggs had all those picks, but you have to look at the underlying thing, and he gave up more yards than any corner
but see,
in the league.
That's my negotiation if I'm in the front office.
Exactly.
I'm going to pay you in the top 5, but you will not be number 1.
Yeah.
You would not, and that's where Dallas out. They just paid the D tackle.
Digizua.
Yeah. And get what? They gave him 100 almost.
Yeah.
87, something like that.
Yeah. And I'm like,
With
Digizua, good player.
Yeah.
Good player. 100 mil.
So this, I mean, I actually think.
But I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough being a GM. It's tough being a team that has to pay a guy, because remember for those years when Kirk was getting that money for 1 year, and they were like, "Oh, he's getting 1 year," but he's getting that much for that 1 year because that's where the market says he deserves. You see what I'm saying? Whether you like it or not, he's getting what his market value is.
I think that's the one thing that fans don't understand. And we'll talk. This is more of a value thing. So like Milton Williams, everyone's like, oh, I'd pay Milton Williams $20 million a year, for the next 3 years, which would, $60 million, $60 million. That's fine. But the thing is, you don't understand is in this free agency class, there are not a lot of good players.
Yeah, it's not.
So he's going to be at a premium. So he's going to get probably closer to 25.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's too much. It's like, well, that's the market.
Yeah. Especially when you're competing against other people.
Because there's nobody else. So when you say Digizua got overpaid, like, it feels like a big number, but it's also like, that's the market because there's not a lot of good interior pass rushers available in free agency.
I love what the Cowboys are doing. Like, no, I'm not saying they doing anything wrong, but I know bad stuff when I see it. That's what I'm telling you. And then you got to realize that Digizua that you still gotta negotiate with
Micah.
With Micah Parsons. Yeah. Now, you want to talk about...
Does it feel like they're going to screw that up? It kind of feels like...
No, they're going to blow it. We know they're going to blow it. Like, they're going to blow it, and he's going to end up taking less to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So back to Sean's question. Do you think the depth at each position will take a hit if we make big free agency moves? I don't know who you're going to pay in this class, in this free agency class.
I don't.
There's not like a guy where like, oh, we got to get this guy. Oh, we got to get this guy.
It never happens like this. It never really has like a okay draft and an okay free agency.
Yeah.
Usually one of them is out through the roof.
Yeah.
Like this is an okay draft.
Yeah.
I'd say the top's not good, but the middle
is good. And it's just an okay free agent. I thought the trades were more better than the free agents that was available.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, like Sean, if you got somebody you're thinking about, like I can't think of anybody. Like maybe you're thinking about Khalil Mack from LA.
He just re-signed.
Yeah, he just re-signed, and I would have bet my house.
Yeah, he just re-signed.
Bet my house that he would resign.
No, he was. Come on, he's not leaving LA.
Yeah.
All right. But you still got a trade. Though I say I think the trades are better because you got Hendricks.
So this is the thing I'd say, because maybe that's what he's talking about, is the Trey Hendricks thing is so interesting because I think you could easily afford him. And this is in the window. He's a very productive player.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me nervous
about Hendricks
is you're giving up draft capital. And so
we're giving up draft capital in a draft.
So, but I'll say this: we've already given up picks, right?
Yeah.
For other trades we've done, like the Debo trade, the Marshall Lattimore trade. I think those are gonna be fine trades.
But you can give away future picks too now.
Yeah.
It don't have to be this
year.
But
what I'm saying is, like, in it, we just talked about how we need to kind of fill the roster out.
You get Hendricks, you're gonna have to give away that first or that second.
Well,
something.
I don't think you have to give away a first because
I think so.
We know the situation with Cincinnati.
So word on the street is they're asking for a first and a third.
You give away a first,
and I would gladly give that up. Do you know how many sacks this man has
had?
But
then you got to pay him, and then you say, does that one player raise the floor of the team? It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the LA Rams a couple years ago when they brought in Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah,
Jalen or
Jalen Ramsey.
So you bring him in, and that team was ready.
Yeah,
they were one piece away. I'm asking you honestly,
are we
one piece away?
No, we.
And if Adam does this and he thinks we're one piece away, I totally support Adam. But right now, as of this second, I'm kind of like,
all right. Well, I can say this: we are in dire need of a A+ pass rusher.
Everybody is.
Yes.
I mean, unless you're Cleveland.
So how we acquire him, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I just want to get a guy that makes the other team say assignment number 1. But stop 91.
So the thing about this with Hendricks is like, he's awesome. I mean, when you look at his numbers, like he's outside of Myles Garrett, he's the most productive pass rusher since they've both come in the league. Like he's awesome. The problem is, like, if you said, hey man, I'll give you a third and I'm giving him an extension. The reason you're trading him is because you won't do it.
Yeah.
That seems like good value to me. But if you want a first and a third and I got to pay the contract.
And then what I say, the leverage is for me now, the buyer, because he don't want to be there and you don't want to pay him.
Yes. So you're going to take what I offer, basically, is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm not the prisoner here.
Yeah.
You are, because you're cheap, Mr. Brown. You are. And don't realize you're still going to probably lose. I feel it in my bones. They're going to lose Jamar Chase.
No, they not.
I'm telling you.
Nah.
Because they playing these Jedi mind chicks with T. Higgins.
Chase, they is playing.
Dude, Joe Burrow retired.
Yeah, Joe Burrow losing it now. I'm telling you right now, they're cheap, Mr. Brown.
No, that's why he been cheap, because he understands he has to pay that dude. That's $40 million a year coming out of his thing right now.
Yeah.
Like he just said, the GM said it. The owner said it.
He should have been paid him.
I can't have the highest paid quarterback, highest paid wide receiver, and the highest paid pass rusher. He said I can't pay 3 people at the top of their position.
That's why you know Hendricks gonna be gone.
Oh, Hendricks gonna be. I got a feeling that they're going to say the smartest thing for us to move on is, okay, we got to move on from Hendricks. We might as well pay T. Higgins $25 a year.
Higgins signed to what?
Trade Jamar Chase.
He's a franchise
trade
tag, right?
Jamar Chase. Get 2-3 first rounders,
dude,
and rebuild your team.
It's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea, but I just don't see them doing that to Burrow. Because
Burrow would freak out.
Bro, he gonna lose his top. You hear me?
Dude, he's gonna pull a Carson Palmer. You don't remember what he did?
Yeah, when Carson said, "Get me out of here,"
and he was like, he retired. He retired,
and then came
back. Then he was like, "All right, I'm gonna come back now."
Why not?
That's how bad he was upset. But so my point is, back to this original question, Sean's question, is we have enough money. We could do kind of whatever we want.
I'm gonna say.
So, but it just depends on like who you want to give it to. Because like right now, I'm not like, this is the guy. We got to give him money.
Yeah, but I want to give it to somebody that's proven.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
and Trey Hendrickson is proven.
Obviously, I get a little bit worried about the dollars and cents of it. Not paying him, because I think the extension would be totally worth it, especially because he's a top 3 pass rusher right now, top 4 pass rusher. But it's the draft capital in conjunction with the pay that makes me a little bit nervous. But like Fred said, he's a known commodity. He's very good. It just, what are they asking for? If they're asking for a first and a third, I'm like, bro, I got other stuff I got to take care of here. But
I'll give you a third and a third. Third this year, third next year.
And we'll see if that gets done. All right, so that's kind of what we're talking about. So for me, yeah, you have enough money, rookie quarterback contract. It's just the free agency class is a little bit like
blah.
Like who you gonna like Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, and to me, both those guys feel like guys that Fred talked about earlier, where you're going to be paying them more than what their production's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
And you ask yourself, if I want to pay Milton and Sweat, am I doing it to spite the Eagles?
I mean,
and add talent?
Yeah, maybe
subtract there, add here.
Yeah, so that's kind of our thought on that question, Sean. Hopefully that's a good answer. So last one, setting expectations from DJ. Do you think our offensive playmakers could put up stats similar to what we saw from the playmakers in Detroit?
I'm going to do the emoji on that. You don't know. How we know? I'm just keeping a buck.
So basically he said, can Terry put up the stats that St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown?
He said offensive
playmakers.
I know what I'm saying. So he said, can Terry put up the numbers St. Brown put up? Can
we? So basically, I read this question like, can we have a number 1 offense next year?
Yeah, and can Debo put up the numbers like a Jameson Williams? Like that we said, can we put up those numbers?
But Fred,
we can say what the hell we want to say. That they got to go out and do it.
I think we got to pump our brakes on this a little bit because we don't even know who's on the team.
I try to keep it realistic, man.
Like we've got 3 wide receivers on the team.
We don't know who we got, and
well, you know what, DJ? Yes, we can.
Yeah, DJ, he gonna talk a soul in his mouth to you, DJ. So don't believe what he say anyway.
Unlike you, because the last time we went to Motown, we beat up Mr. Ford. we went to Motown and kicked in the door at the record store. Listen to me. All I'm saying is we got the quarterback, we got the offensive mind. We add playmakers daily. Yeah. All right. We got a guy that can turn a screen into, a 60-yard. Like, yes, I feel good. I'm not finna say we're gonna beat Detroit. Now, are we gonna be throwing to the tackle into the guard? No. Yeah. All right? But we will be, as long as you got Jedi 5, we'll be a good offense.
Yeah. DJ, I think we're gonna be good, but
it's just like I don't even know who's the number 2 receiver. What are we doing right now?
I'm just telling you how I feel.
I know you're just
you the same person told us in Ford we trust.
I will say you are confident, my man.
Hey, if you don't believe, nobody can believe.
That's true. And I hope it all works out. But it's like there's 29 new people going to be on this team this year. Yeah. It's a new team. So, we got to see how it all gels together, it all comes together.
But our quarterback will be a year older.
Quarterback's a baller. Cliff's a baller.
Yeah,
Terry's a baller. Zach's a baller. All those things are true.
Yeah.
But it's a new group of guys.
They had something going on back there with that Sonic and your boy.
Knuckles.
That I ain't seen. I don't think nobody matched that.
Well, listen. You don't meet Jamar Gibbs in Giants grocery store.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, getting one of those, see, there's a difference between an SUV and a sports car.
Now,
I don't know if you know, a sports car is low to the ground so it can get out of there fast. Yeah. When I seen Jamar Gibbs run, damn, they gave me whiplash. Right?
Dude, he's fast now.
This dude is lightning fast.
Dude, I'm sure you guys have been to a high school game, and there's that one kid who's
they just don't belong out there.
And the second they get into space, it's like, oh, God, bro, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. That's how you felt. I felt watching him.
I watched Gibbs get the ball, and I was there. And I told B. Mitch, I ain't seen, he made 6 people miss in a circle. And they was just all there. And he was and he was. I say, bro, I ain't seen nothing like that before.
Who's the fastest, Jamar Gibbs or Jameson Williams?
Jameson Williams.
I mean, he said they different. It's different.
Gas, it's different speed
because look,
he's got gas.
Yeah, it's different because he's running routes, so the quarterback got to get the ball to him.
Yeah.
This guy, you just give him the ball.
Well, I think that's the other thing. There's a difference between, in my experience, the acceleration and just straight.
So you saying in the 10-yard dash, Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr
Gibbs. Yeah, but in the 40 out of 100, you saying Williams?
Yeah, Williamson effortlessly got that reverse and just was like,
Dude, he can.
And then he gave you 6 pumps.
Oh, listen.
I gave you more than 3.
My face was this close to the TV. I'm like, I know he ain't finna go. I know he ain't finna give it a 3rd pump. And he did. I want an idiot like that.
I know that tickled you.
And then I was crying. Like, I'm an idiot.
That's just why you lose games like that, because you got an idiot on your team that's just doing dumb shit.
I know. You got to have at least 3 idiots on your team.
Dude, well, every time I see Antoine Randall talk to him, I'm like,
yeah, that's why L took that job in Chicago. I'm going back home, man. I ain't dealing with this dude.
L facing like I'm just tired. Because we know L personally. L a good dude.
Christian dude.
Church going man.
He ain't trying to deal with that.
He don't like that tomfoolery.
He ain't dealing with that,
Jameson
man.
Williams, I can see him coming in every day.
tomfoolery.
With that tomfoolery.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today's show on tomfoolery. And that's what we're obviously really excited for the free agency, for the draft, for the team building process, man. We can't wait to see what Adam Peters and the staff does putting this thing together. So make sure you stay tuned. Obviously, Wednesday's a big day. We'll have a reaction to that probably next week sometime where all the pieces will be in. We will talk more about kind of the comprehensive vision for this team. But until next week, that's it.
See you.
Peace.